Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Coffey with American Equity Mortgage. I want to welcome everyone to AEM Achieve and a warm good morning to our attendees on the West Coast. I know we have people from all over the U.S. attending today. We've got a great event for you. Today's presentation on Sales Management Essentials will begin in just a few minutes. For those of you who are new to AEM Achieve, this is our monthly event we host as a way to give back to our realtor partners. And our goal is to provide you tools and ideas to help you build your business. All of you are currently in the listen-only mode. However, there is a text box in the bottom portion of your webinar window where you can enter comments or ask questions. Time permitting, we will strive to get to as many questions as possible, but we have a full agenda for you today. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's facilitator, Mike Weinberg. Mike is the best-selling author of the book New Sales Simplified, the essential handbook for prospecting and new business development. I read this book early last year and was immediately working on engaging Mike for our company, AEM. His book has been #1 Amazon bestseller and spent a full year as the book in its as #1 book in its category. Mike has been named by Forbes as the top 30 sales influencer for 2014, and for 3 consecutive years has been a top 25 sales influencer with OpenView Labs. Mike has a passion for helping individuals and companies improve their sales performance and has done so quite successfully. We've enjoyed a great affiliation. This is Mike's second event for AEM Achieve. Mike, welcome and thank you for joining us again today.
Oh, Mike, thank you. It's a treat to be back again with you and the folks here. So thank you.
Good. Great to have you here. We've got 2 outstanding panelists with us today. Both of these broker owners lead top-performing brokerages. I'm going to let each of them tell you a little bit about themselves and their organization. First, I'd like to introduce Ms. Sandy Hancock. Sandy is a broker owner of RE/MAX Results in St. Louis, Missouri. Sandy, welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Mike. RE/MAX Results is a 20-year-old company. What sets us apart from other companies in our market is the amount of production each of our agents do. Last year, they averaged just over $3 million and 18 to 19 transactions. So we have 5 offices, 130 agents, and we sold $380 million.
Wow, outstanding. A great operation there in St. Louis, Missouri. Sandy, thank you again for joining us. Our second
Glad to be here.
Great. Our second panelist is someone I've enjoyed working with for many years. He leads the #1 Exit Realty brokerage in the U.S. Stan Bishop is the president and broker owner of Exit Real Estate Gallery in Jacksonville, Florida. Stan, welcome, and please share a little bit about your organization.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you for letting me be on here. We run a company in Jacksonville, Florida with 4 offices. We started during a recession in Florida of 2007. We grew the company from 1,000 brokerages to number 4, number 5 in the marketplace. We've achieved a lot of success, and it's not because of me. It's because of the team that we have in place, Ray Rivera, Sonny Downey, the administrative, the agents are the reasons why I've been able to lead within Exit. So thank you guys for having me on.
Great to have you both here. Thank you very much. One of the things I really liked about our panelists and getting my initial conversations regarding preparing for this event is they both have achieved incredible results, but they've both done it in different ways. They both have unique perspectives, which I'm sure Mike will be able to draw out from them. And so I think this is going to be a great event for everyone attending. Mike, at this point, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. This is really a treat. We're not only dealing with one of my favorite topics that I spend so much time working through, but just hearing the stories and getting to know Stan and Sandy a little bit. It's a privilege to be with 2 true real estate rock stars and folks that are really experts at sales leadership. And I spent a lot of time in my practice working on sales management essentials and sales leadership because I frankly learned it the hard way that really the sales leader is the key leverage point for driving sales growth in an organization. And a long time ago in my first stint in consulting and coaching, I thought I could change sales organizations by coaching up producers. And you know, I did make a significant impact on a handful of individuals, but it took some growing up and maturity to really understand that to change an organization, you really have to work at the top and work through helping sales leaders be the most effective that they can be. And I really have 2 rules when it comes to sales leadership that were passed down to me by one of my favorite mentors. And one of them really is simple. It's as goes the leader, so goes the team, right? So we need our sales leader to be doing great and be locked in on their high-value activities and building the things that make sense. And then the second rule is that rarely do we see the level of the team exceed the level of the leader. So it's really critical that we're focused on our most essential things. And as we move ahead here, I've got a funny picture to share with you. This is what I feel like most sales leaders, this is the burden they're carrying around. This is what they feel like. They are stretched thin. Everybody wants a piece of them. They've got their high maintenance people that take a ton of their time. They've got demanding top producers who have high requirements and a high bar for performance. They've got their rookies that desperately need their help. They get called in on the hairy deals, right, because they need the expertise. There's compliance and legal issues and corporate issues. So there's all this weight on the sales manager, which I think is why it's so important that everyone owns a really good framework for creating sales lift. And I'll show you here. These are my three pieces of my framework. I call this really my lens or my filter. As a consultant, when I go into an organization, these are the three areas I work to create sales lift. And so whether I'm doing that on my own or I'm mentoring and coaching a sales manager, these are the three areas I focus. How is the team being led? What's the culture like? Let's talk all about talent, from having the right people to keeping our best people to coaching up or coaching out those that are struggling. And then sales process, picking the right targets, conducting good sales conversations, having a sharp sales story, filling up our calendar with high-value activities. These three categories are really the foundation of my framework for Sales Management Essentials. And today, I'm going to get out of the way and ask questions in these three categories to our panelists. So why don't we dive in and get started with our first question to our panelists. I've worked in some incredible companies as an employee, and I've also worked in some that weren't so incredible. And the real difference as a salesperson to me was the culture. And as a guy who's probably been in a couple hundred organizations now as a consultant, culture is palpable. You walk in the door, you meet with people, you can feel what's going on. And last year I had a real treat. I got called into a very healthy company, which is pretty unusual. Most of the time I get called up when things aren't what they should be. And this company really wanted some specific help in a few areas, but they were awesome. They were growing. And within a few minutes of being in their building, I could just sense that the culture was unbelievable. And I sat down in the CEO's office and I said, Robert, what is going on here? Tell me about your culture. And this is what he said to me. He said, Mike, culture is everything. So he wanted to start to unpack what his culture looked like. I want to ask our panelists, and I'll start with Stan here. Stan, could you describe for our audience, what is a healthy, thriving sales culture? What does it feel like, and what are the elements of that culture that you're working hard to create and maintain in your organization?
Thank you, Mike. That's a great question. One thing that I pride myself, I've got a partner who really focuses on the culture, and we do tons of events. For a culture for our office is really about being a family, being a team, that we're all working with the same common goal of achieving success. And it starts from the leadership. It starts with the administrative staff, the support staff. Everybody involved in the organization is working to the same goal, which is to have success. So some of the things I like to talk about when I'm bringing on a new agent in my company, I always let them know I'm not a boss. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, and my goal is to help them achieve whatever goal they set. We recently started having an ambassador club, which is a group of our successful agents in our organization, and they volunteer for different parts of our company to drive us to where we want to get to, whether it be the training, education, whether it be community outreach programs. The agents are highly involved in our company, and they take ownership of it, and they treat it with pride. So that's one of the benefits we've had, and we're always looking for that culture of the office to be a family, a team concept.
Well, that's good. I like a lot you shared there, and I'll probably come back and circle back. Sandy, just at the high level, what are you trying to build culture-wise in your organization to keep winning?
The focus at our company is really all about the agents. It's very agent-centric. Our staff is focused on the agents. The tools and services and training we provide are focused on the agents. if somebody has a complaint in this company, most likely they're going to email me directly. And the first thing I always say to them is, thank you so much for bringing this to me, because I understand that they're only sending it to me because they think it's going to get addressed. And otherwise, they wouldn't waste their time. So it's really an environment where you can say what you think, you can contribute, you can make suggestions, and then you'll see changes, and you'll see things happen that really are for the benefit of the agents.
Okay, so let me follow up with both of you. I'm going to start with Stan. You talked about everyone being on the same page and it being about results and how communication is so critical. Stan, what are some just practical, I guess, vehicles or methods you have in place to make sure that communication, because we all joke, everyone's got communication issues. What are you doing to make sure that info's flowing out and back and that everyone really is on the same page and connected?
Well, number one, I'm present. I'm involved, whether it be the meetings, whether it be the trainings, whether it be the community outreach programs. You're going to see myself and my partners involved always. We have an open door policy. Agents, we don't sit behind closed doors. Agents have open willingness to come into my office to discuss ideas. One thing that we have been doing that's really helped our organization is we have roundtable meetings at the different offices. We have multiple offices, so what we'll do is we'll have a roundtable where agents can come in, and another meeting we have is what's called Agent Help Day, where agents come in and just discuss challenges they have, things that they're coming up with. And the one thing I love to tell my agents is, don't come to me with problems. Let's focus on solutions to those problems. So it's really training them with the right mindset that you're going to run across obstacles, but have a solution-focused mindset. And that's what our agents are doing. So I don't get as many complaints about why we're not doing this, why we're not doing that. More it comes to me is, hey, I like this opportunity. We want to involve ourselves in this. We want to get involved here. And that's where the Ambassador Club really came out of, is really getting the agents involved in the decisions that the company goes, because we look at our customer is the agent as a broker, and the buyer and the seller is the agent's customer. So that's the way the organization's ran, and having an open door policy allows agents to feel free to communicate with us, and it's been working for us very well.
Oh, I love it. I love how that you see them as your internal customer and treat them that way. And let me pick up on your open door policy comment and circle back to Sandy. Sandy, so you have this feedback-rich environment where it sounds like you're open to taking all kinds of input and even some shots from your producers because you're agent-centric. How does that work? And I'm curious, maybe if you'd address what are the benefits you see coming out of that? How is that playing itself out where you're actually seeing increased performance and a healthier culture because people are able to share what their needs are?
Well, it's something that we always valued. About 3 years ago, we realized that we didn't hear from everybody, and we hired a professional company to actually survey and interview our agents, and we got about 95% responses. And so we really went out to them to get their feedback. Why are they at our company? What benefit do they see? And how can we help them? And we learned so many things from doing that.
Boy, that's fantastic. All right, thank you guys for sharing a little bit about culture. Let's move on here, and I'll share a funny thought that actually came from one of my mentors. He was my sales manager and ended up being my first business partner. And this guy was just a sales management guru. His name is Donnie, and I write about him a lot in my book. And he would tell me, Mike, the art of sales management is balancing encouraging the heart and kicking the ass. And my job is to do both for you. And he really showed me over time that sales is truly really as much about the heart as it is about the head. And it had a huge impact on me. In fact, I've even written about some stuff on this lately where I walk into a company and I see a bunch of miserable salespeople. And I came up with this line that I think is very true. You can be a miserable accountant and do great accounting work. Right? You can produce accurate statements and on-time work, and you can be miserable but be a phenomenal A-player accountant. But I would tell you the same is not true in sales and definitely for real estate agents, right? If their hearts aren't in it, they're not going to be successful. So with that as the backdrop, I want to talk about how do we keep your people's hearts engaged, and then specifically as we move ahead here, I've got a picture here of a team celebrating. What are you doing on your end to create this culture of celebration, to celebrate milestones and victories, and keep your people's hearts fully engaged? Either one of you can jump in and take that. Go ahead.
This is Sandy. We're having fun and we're recognizing people. And the recognition that we do isn't so much, who was first this month. It was, although we do recognize our top 20 every month, we recognize everybody who's achieved their goal. So we're looking for, if their goal is $1 million or $3 million, and RE/MAX has different level awards, then we're recognizing everybody. We recognize their anniversaries with our company. We recognize and celebrate 25 years with our company, which we have 3 or 4 each year with RE/MAX. So we're always just looking for ways to acknowledge what they've accomplished and, what they're doing.
Okay. Stan, talk to me about fun and keeping people's hearts fully engaged and passionate.
Well, fun is that is what we are. If you've ever met any of my partners, you'll know they're a group of people who like to have a good time. We do co-ed softball teams, co-ed bowling. We're constantly looking for community outreach programs where we can get the agents involved in the community. From a company perspective, recognitions, just like Sandy was talking about, we do the meetings and we're recognizing those agents, and we're looking at the goal sets that they have and their anniversaries and things like that. We've been really having success with the biannual sales rallies where we get everybody together, and we don't focus just on the typical how to get more listings, how to get more sales, but we're really focusing on how to make them better people. From recently I had the insurance company, Blue Cross and Blue Shields, came in, and we care about our agents. We want to make sure that they have the basic needs to qualify their family and what makes a difference for them. So making sure that they have access to financial planners that come into the office, or insurance people that can really make sure that they have a complete access to everything. Coming from the corporate world, that was one of the things I gave up. And that's one of the things I love about Exit, is the fact that you have residual retirement and death benefits, and that's one of the hard challenges of being an independent contractor. So I feel as a leader, I got to make sure that my people have access to all the tools that you would have at a normal corporation.
Yeah, boy, really encouraging. Let me ask you just about levels of participation on these type of fun things. From Sandy, you said you're doing a lot of fun events, and you shared a few specifics, Stan, about softball and charity events and community service. What type of turnouts do you have, and who's typically the agent that comes to these?
Not always the best softball players. I mean, I would like to say we win every time, but everybody gets to participate. It's about having fun. But I see everybody has different passions, right? So for those who like the team atmosphere of playing in sports, we do those things for the co-ed softball and the bowling, and we'll have a big turnout. And then we'll have a totally different turnout for people who want to volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, or want to volunteer for Haven Hospice, which, for me, that touched my life. And, anything I can do to give back to the community. One of the best advices I got from my mentor is, don't do it to make money. Do it because you want to help people. And that's why I consider myself a mentor and a coach and a trainer. This is a hobby for me, because if I didn't get paid at this, I'd still do it because I just like it.
Yeah, it sounds like when you even describe it, it's really authentic. This isn't a show. You're not doing it to check the box that we're trying to build a certain kind of culture. You're doing this because you care, and that's got to come through to your people. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, let me turn the tables then and go from celebrating to kind of the counterpart, which would be accountability. So I'd love to ask you. I'll start with you here, Sandy. I understand you've got an agent-centric organization, but what are you doing in terms of accountability? And I like to say that the analogy I use is we're not running a rec sports team or an intramural team. We're running a select team, right? So we want the best players players, and we keep score, and we're playing to win, because I think, as you guys said earlier, it is really all about the results. So along those lines, I'm going to ask you this a couple different ways, but let's start out at the macro level, like with your whole organization, big meetings, reports, etc. What are you doing to maintain a results-focused culture, looking at numbers, talking about goals, etc.?
Well, we're doing annual business planning with all of our agents, so we'll take a day out. Some years we go, 2-3 hours away. Most of the time we stay in town. We bring in speakers and we put business plans in place. And then our extranet system, or our internal, I guess you might call it intranet, allows our agents to pull their production reports anytime, so they can get up-to-date numbers. And then we also email them quarterly, production reports. Mm-hmm. Anybody who wants it, then we're doing one-on-one coaching, so to keep the focus on their goals.
Okay, let me circle back to something. I'm big on business planning, so that really intrigued me. Tell me about the business plan process. Do you actually, ahead of time, assign the agents to write a business plan, and what's that look like, and then who do they turn that plan into, and how do you use it maybe throughout the year? I think that'd be a fascinating thing to learn from you.
Well, we have an Excel-based system where they can put in their goals, and then it generates the number of listings they need to carry and the number of buyer's agency agreements they need to carry. Then that focuses them on how many leads they need in the funnel, and it lets them enter in all the names of the people that they're tracking. So it keeps them, focused on what they're doing, and then it shows them the results. So is that what you were thinking?
So it's a really action-oriented plan, it sounds like.
It's action-oriented,
Yeah.
it's precise. And what I see that a lot of agents do is they lose focus, so they have a business plan, but then they never look at it again. And they really don't track anything. So we're trying to give them the tools that they need to actually track what they're doing, focus on their leads, focus on how many they need at any given time. So if they're down, then, well, time to prospect. Let's get going.
Yeah, amen. I'll circle back and we'll talk about tracking a little more later. Stan, talk to me about maintaining that results focus at the macro level. What are you doing corporately to talk about goals, results, keep people always looking at numbers?
Well, Mike, again, going back to it, our company, we're very hyper-focused on what our specialty is. So I've got a fortunate enough to have a business partner who's our CFO of the company. He was named the Business Journal CFO of the Year this year. And, he's brought that approach from a macro view of benchmark setting and making sure we're always looking and analyzing twice a month, looking at our numbers from a company standpoint, where we stand within this month versus last year, year-to-date versus last year-to-date, where we rank against the competition, where we are with our budget from a proposal, what we plan to, what we achieve, we're above and under. So he brings that stability to the company and is really fortunate. And then for the agents, taking off of what Sandy said for the business plan, it doesn't matter what level of production you're at when you join our organization. We mandate that you go through a 3-day onboarding process, and in that, you're going to put together a business plan. And we tell them up front, we're honest with them. We say, hey, the most valuable thing we own is our time, because it's the one thing we never can get back. And we let them know if they want our time and we're willing to give them our time, they have to commit to certain basic functions, which is put a business plan together. So that's the requirement they have if they want to get the coaching with us. And by doing that, we'll be willing to coach them on a monthly basis. But they have to put on the work themselves. But we give them the tools to be successful. They have to make the choice, and that's what we look for in agents. We're looking for agents who are self-disciplined, who have the willingness to succeed and want. And we'll provide you with the tools, but ultimately you're the one that has to do the work.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. I hope everyone was just listening to those two answers, because that was powerful. I do want to circle back to one thing you said, Stan. When you listed that incredible 4 or 5 key reports that you're producing on I think it was every couple of weeks or monthly basis. I love the categories you were describing and what you were reporting on. But tell me what you're doing with the reports. Are you distributing them individually? Are you reviewing them in a company meeting? How are you getting that data in the hands of your producers, and how much of a regular topic of conversation is that?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are information we're discussing twice a month between the owners, and we're looking at the P&Ls. We're looking at all those reports on twice a month. And then from a company perspective, when we have our monthly office meeting, we always are discussing where we line up within the exit family, within our market, within the local market. We're talking about the goals where we've achieved, and those things are always given back. And the agents love to hear the successes. I mean, they really come to the meeting. There was one month, it was a couple months ago, I left off one of the numbers, and it was amazing how many emails I got from agents going, hey, did we do bad because you didn't include that number? And it's funny because our number went up, but we just forgot to put it on there. So agents do pay attention to it.
What a great sign that they're actually diving in and reading it. That's awesome. So you've definitely built that into the culture. All right, let me ask you guys, staying right here for a minute, but I want to take it from the macro level to the one-on-one level. This is kind of one of my own sales management hobby horses. The one-on-one meeting between either the senior sales leader like yourselves, or in your case, your organization is so big it may not be you. There may be some other manager or leader. Are you doing anything right now, and what would it look like if you are, where on some regularly scheduled basis, someone in management is meeting with an individual producer to look at results and pipeline and that kind of stuff? Are you doing anything like that?
We do, and I'm sorry, I'll take it first. Sandy, this is Stan. I do. I'm looking. I have a team of agents when I run two of the offices, and I'm meeting with those agents who are committed to meeting with me, and they're willing to do that. And we sit down on a monthly basis. Some of them we sit down every 2 weeks. Some of it's in a group setting. Some of it's on an individual basis, and it's really catered to what that agent needs. I find some agents, they like the one-on-one basis. Some feel, for whatever reason, intimidated, or they just don't like that individual, and they like to sit in a group setting, and that's where those agent roundtables really pay off. So for us, it's really catered based on what the agents need, and when they put that business plan together, that's one of the questions we actually ask them is, what level of accountability are you looking for? Because we built the organization and we run it based on what, like Sandy said, agent-centric. So decisions are made based from the company standpoint, how we would want to run if we were agents of the company. But we all know if you don't hold them accountable to numbers, then they're ultimately going to fail if they don't see someone looking over their shoulder and giving them the guidance. And we care for their agents, so we want to give them that information.
Thank you. Thank you. I really like that. Sandy, you doing any of that? Any formalized kind of one-on-one, or where we look at reports and results and challenge people on an individual basis?
We're meeting with everybody annually, so we know what their goals are, and then we're providing, like I said, production reports every quarter. One thing the management gets is a 4-year review every quarter on all their agents, so they can really tell who's trending up and who's not. If somebody's really down from the year before, then that's going to, then we need a phone call. How can we help? Do you want to meet? Do you want coaching? And then we start getting it set up. I think, like Stan, a lot of our top producers, it's the people who know how to prospect and know how to run their business. And if they're on track, a lot of them just want to be left alone, and that's what you do. Then you focus on other ways to help them.
Sure. Okay. Let me offer you guys one thing. I created this perspective for several clients of mine that I was working with, where the sales leader, and in this case it was a part-time sales leader who was also a branch owner, and I have that in a handful of my clients, was never meeting one-on-one individually with their people, and they were really trying hard to build a culture of accountability and results focus. And I came up with this little thing, and it's this three-step one-on-one meeting. And I'm really encouraging, whenever possible, and I know you guys are both saying it, with top producers, you don't really need to do it, and if someone doesn't want to be accountable, maybe we don't hold them. And I think in your business that may be okay. I just want to offer this as a possibility. I've seen incredible transformation when a leader will spend 15 minutes formally one-on-one with each of his or her people. And it's just for the very sake, not to talk about how they're doing. It's a results-focused meeting. It doesn't have to be emotional, and we're not flailing or spitting or getting angry. It's, hey, let's talk. let's look at your results. What have you sold so far this year? Here's where you rank against everyone else in the office. Here's what you've earned commission-wise. So just a frank results conversation. And nobody ever wants you asking about their activity because that doesn't feel good, right? Like we don't want to be micromanaged, especially people in your business who are independent. So I never start with activity. I always start with sales results. But then if the results aren't great, I think it's fair to kind of go to the next question. Okay, so we haven't really been producing as much as we'd like. Hey, what's coming? What are you working on now? What deals are coming to fruition that we can see coming here in the near future? And then a lot of times if there's no good answer, so the results aren't there, and if the pipeline's not real healthy, as the manager, I kind of have nowhere else to go at this point because, okay, so let me ask you, how are you spending your time? Well, let's take a look at your calendar. What do you got? What do you got on the docket for next month? Who are you going to go see? And we'll talk more about targeting a little later in our session. But I just want to offer that I've seen really great things happen when managers carve out 15 minutes formally to kind of go over these three things in that progression. All right, so that's it for culture and accountability and leadership for now. Let's move on and tackle a real big topic, talent. I mean, talent is everything. They asked John Wooden, the greatest basketball coach ever, what makes a great coach? And he said, talent. Give me the right players. So here's something I came up with. I've got these 4 R's that represent, I think, some of the pillars of talent management, right? We need the right people. We want to keep our best people. We want to retain them. I got another R there, remediate, right? Where I'm always about, we got to coach up or coach out those that aren't cutting it. And then recruiting is huge. So those are my 4 R's. So why don't we dive in specifically here, and I want to start really with the biggie. And I got some real intentional pictures on this slide, and I'll share more about that in a second. Stan, who's the right person? What's the DNA of the future top producer you're looking to hire? What are you out there looking for? Because we don't want to hire average people, right? We always want to hire people that raise the bar. So what are you looking for?
That's a great question. In my company, I'm referred to as the talent scout, so that's my specialty. Is I'm always looking for them. I don't care if I run them at Best Buy or give me great service at the restaurant. I'm always looking for talented people who could take that position of helping out people buying and selling homes. For me, I truly believe we're all born to be exceptional, but we've been conditioned to be average. And I feel, unfortunately, in an interview for 30 minutes, I've had interviews where I think this person's going to be best thing since sliced bread, and they turn out doing nothing. And then I have situations where I'll interview someone, and I'll sit there and think, well, this person's never going to do anything, and they ended up being my rookie of the year. So, in that meeting, in that initial interview, I can't be so judgmental because I've been proven right, I've been proven wrong many times when hiring. But what I'm looking specifically for, and I tell the people I'm recruiting, I let them know up front. I tell them, these are the challenges I have with hiring agents, and I'm letting you know up front, this is what my challenge is. I always tell them, the people getting in real estate, a lot of them are independent contractors, and they do it specifically because they get to do what they want to do. The challenge with that is that they, by getting to do what they want to do, if they don't do anything, they don't get paid anything. So I'm always asking for people, do they have call reluctancy? And call reluctancy comes in many different ways. So we do call nights, we do things to help them overcome that call reluctancy. I'm also looking for someone who's consistent and systematic about what they do. If I can provide you with a system, if I can provide you with a process to be successful, as long as you follow the system, this process, you will be successful. And then I'm looking for someone who's coachable. I like the fact that someone, if you can be the best golfer in the world, but you still have a coach who's helping you improve. Me being the #1 expertability broker in the U.S., I still have a coach. My partners are my coach. I like someone who thinks outside the box, and someone who can provide successful business plans, and they are able to implement it. So those are the basic characteristics of what I'm looking for.
All right, let me follow up with you because I love the path you're going down, and we're obviously on the same page here. And the fact that you call yourself the talent scout, or at least your other people call you that, is fantastic. Let me just ask a more pointed question, because I heard some great words there about systematic and discipline and independent and self-motivation. I get all that. Talk to me about drive and intensity and passion, and how do you, not how you screen for that, but how important is that in what you see? If we were to diagnose your top producers, how much is passion, drive, intensity playing a role?
It's huge, because those are the people that, they're busy and they're always going and they have a high motor and it's always running at full speed. But those are the people that if I got a listing, I want to give it to somebody who's really busy because I know they can get the job done. They have a passion. They're involved in our company. The Ambassador Club, these agents are producing well over $100,000 a year, and they're still willing to volunteer their time to help other agents in my company. And that's the culture and the passion that they want to give back. And you know this, Mike. Who learns more when coaching? Is it the coach or is it the student?
Yeah.
It's typically the coach that's learning more because they're the ones having to prepare, and that's where we have, again, going back to our franchise, we have a mentoring, we have a program that helps agents rewarded by bringing other agents in the company. So it's literally built into the DNA of our franchise, that coaching and that mentoring and sponsoring type mentality. So that's the thing that I love where I'm at. Again, it's a hobby for me, so I don't know why I keep getting paid for doing just a hobby.
Amen. First of all, high motor. Hope everyone wrote that down. I'm looking for high motor people myself, and I will also validate what you said about the coach and the student. I'm really careful about who I bring on, particularly as individual clients, because I only do a handful of those. But I get better when I work with better people. They energize me, and they push me to push them harder. And I want someone who brings their own charge to the table. I don't want to be responsible for teaching them and charging their batteries. They need to come with their own batteries charged up. So that's a great perspective. All right, Sandy, I'm going to ask you something specific, because we had an interesting conversation preparing for this, and you said something that really intrigued me. We're talking about some study that you did and really getting a handle at your place on the difference between top producers and middle-of-the-pack producers. Could you kind of define those terms for me, and then what are you seeing, what do you know now about the differences between those that are on top and those that are pretty average?
Well, it turned out, to be really important for our company because we were really treating all our agents the same. When we had a company meeting, then we wanted everybody to be there. When we offered training, we were trying to apply it to a certain production level, but that production level, of course, doesn't match all of our agents. And what we learned was that agents at different production levels really do have different needs and expectations. Top producing agents want tools, services, and training that affect their business and improve their bottom line. They really do see their business like a business. They understand generating more revenue, holding the expenses can impact profit, and they look at that every day. Medium producing agents, they want skills training. They want information that will help them do the next deal. So they're understanding the sales process, and that's really where they want us to focus with them. So we really shifted everything. We instituted a top agent roundtable that was really just for our top 20%. We refocused our skills training into what we call our success series. We have 5 4-week classes. Each one's only 2 hours, but it focuses through buyers, listings, finance, contracts, and then really just the foundation for success, how to manage money, how to prospect, what are really the building blocks for a business. And so we're looking at top producers and medium producers differently. One benefit we got from this, which we weren't really expecting, was that our top agents sent their teams to our skills classes. So we taught their assistants, their buyer's agents, and now we were helping to train their staff. So it might not have been a class they were interested in, but it still helped their bottom line because we were training their people.
Wow, what a retention tool that is. Unbelievable. So let me ask you, this is fascinating to hear both of your perspectives on talent. Let's talk about a happy topic for a minute. Top producers. You've kind of started going down the path there, Sandy. Personally, in most of my clients, there are very few top producers. There is a shortage of A players in sales across all industries. So it really hurts when you lose one, right? And we really need to do everything possible. That's one of my R's, retain our top people. What are you specifically doing to retain your top producers, to make their lives easier, to make sure they're absolutely happy at your organization?
Well, for us, we're really focused on tools and services that we can provide that are going to impact their bottom line. So last year we introduced CirclePix virtual tours. We provide those on every listing. It automatically posts to their social media. We have direct feeds to Zillow and Trulia, so they're branded. Their virtual tours are branded, and it's focusing on them as the listing agents. One thing that our whole company really likes is super tech. We have a tech person and also a marketing person. Every Friday morning, they rotate offices, and we teach a class, and we have open tech support from 9 to noon. So a top producer really doesn't have time to, update their listing presentation, learn how to make a flyer on our design system, but they can walk in every Friday morning and get help with anything. It could be a virus, or they just don't know how to sync their contacts to their phone, then we're going to help them with it.
Awesome.
So that kind of thing.
So you're trying to make their life easier and make them as efficient and productive as possible.
Because we deposit their commission checks directly into their bank account. They don't have to come to the office anymore to pick them up. That's just the kind of thing we're looking for, what makes them more efficient that they can sell.
Fantastic. Stan, what are you doing to make sure your top producers are happy and staying?
Well, our top producers, in our organization actually can make more than 100% when you factor in residual retirement and the death benefits. So, when you anchor an agent in because they have residual income, they tend to not leave. And the other things, just like Sandy was saying, we tend to be somewhat of an enabler for agents to be successful. We provide them with a ton of the marketing tools. Every listing that we get goes in Home to Land magazine, the real estate book. We design and print the flyers, the postcards, the digital tour. We syndicated over 400 websites. We give them listing reports. We're constantly doing things to help them out with the listing presentation, putting booklets together. We give them the training. So, with us, I can tell you that we've lost agents. The funny thing is as we lose agents, those agents do tend to come back to us because they find that the grass isn't greener on the other side with the tools and the systems that we provide to them.
That's huge. What a testimonial that is. All right, so let me move on and ask you guys a really brief question, looking for a brief answer. Give me one tip or best practice for our audience on interviewing or screening, trying to find that person who's going to rise above everybody else. And Noah, the balloon there has nothing to do with Remax, by the way, Sandy. Just happened to like that picture. So that's not for your benefit, all right? I just give our audience, just each you, one brief best practice on recruiting, identifying, or interviewing.
They either have to have been successful in sales or successful in business, some way. They have to have success. They have to be willing to take the hard road and accomplish it.
Love it. Stan?
In an interview setting, I do personality assessments. That really helps me out with understanding what the type of person is going to be and where they would fall within the organization, because by doing so I can kind of coach them into where I would find them to be successful based on previous agent success based on those personality types.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's move from a happy topic to a hard topic. Let's talk about underperformers real quickly. And I get really mixed reactions to this conversation across different companies. I hear a lot of times from leaders and owners in 100% commission environments that they don't really care about underperformers. They say things like, well, what can it hurt? I'm not paying them anyway if they're not producing. And I vehemently disagree with that statement. And I want to just ask you guys, what are you doing? What's your philosophy about dealing with people that are significantly underproducing? And what's your plan, when you have someone in that situation? How do you approach it? And then maybe what do you do if you're trying to help them? Stan, I'll start with you this time.
What we're doing is we're calling our agents. We're involved in their life. I've got another partner of mine that's constantly reaching out to the agents and encourage them, and we focus on especially the newer agents to our organization or agents that aren't hitting the benchmarks that we have. We have a minimum expectations to be considered a full-time agent, and so we're encouraging those agents to come to those meetings if you'll get so many phone calls that if you're not coming to it, you'll eventually want to say, hey, I got to go because you want too much involvement. And I think that whole concept of agents not coming into the office is probably the wrong concept for us, because we want to see our agents, we want to get them involved in the company, and that's why our trainings and things that we do are geared for every type of agents. And specifically, we have one program called a career restart for agents who aren't hitting those benchmarks. It walks them through a 30-day program specifically to help those agents, and that's what we do. We're always encouraging, we're always pushing them. They know that we want to see them successful, and it's driven from the company down, level down, from the top up.
All right, Sandy, what are you doing with underperformers? How do you address it, and what's the plan?
Well, this is a little bit of a backdoor approach, but the compensation system really rewards medium and high-producing agents, and it's not as beneficial for low-producing agents. So if you're, just doing a few deals a year, we're probably not the right place for you. And we can help you make that decision, or you may make it on your own, I guess. But it always comes from care and concern and what their goals really are. So if lots of new agents start here, and we're going to help them grow to be a successful agent, but that has to be their goal. Their goal can't be just, fund the vacation. That's not going to work for us.
Fantastic. And I wouldn't call that a backdoor approach. I think that's a front and center approach. I think compensation is huge. And I like when I see a very, very, very big delta between what the top people and the bottom people are earning. And we want to get people hungry to produce, and those that are producing should reap the rewards. All right, that's a fantastic conversation on talent. So let's move ahead to the last kind of leg of our stool, and we'll run through sales process really quickly here. What's on the screen right now is my very, very simple framework that I use. This is most of my book is dedicated to this topic right here. Is how do we go out and get new business? And I've broken it down really into three steps. You have to have a great list, so you got to pick your targets. You need weapons to launch at those targets: your story, your telephone calls, your emails, your marketing literature, your referral bases, what you say in a sales conversation, follow-up materials. You have all these weapons at your disposal to sell. And then it always comes down to the last one, because you can have the greatest list of targets and really powerful weapons, but if you don't use them, it's a waste. So you need to plan and execute the attack, right? A high-frequency attack, and filling your calendar up with the right kinds of activity, which we'll talk about here in a second. So that's the framework, and I want to move ahead here and talk about proactive targeting with you guys. I have targeting first in my framework because it's where you start. And what I would say is, if you've got a reactive sales team and you've got agents sitting on their butt waiting for a lead or waiting for the phone to ring, they don't really need a list, right? They're going to just respond to what's coming their way, and that's why they produce as little as they do. But the moment you want to be proactive and initiate and go out and find business and identify opportunities, the very first thing I ask is, okay, where are we going to go? Who are we going to target? So to you guys, I want to know, and Sandy, I'll start with you here. What are you doing to help your agents be strategic in proactive targeting and marketing? What direction, or how do you help someone that's trying to figure out, where do I go to find business?
Well, for us, and I'm sure it's for most companies, we're driving a lot of business through our sphere of influences. If we need to change average sales prices or geographic location, of course, then we're going to have to do some work with that if that's not what our SOI already provides. So we're helping them target how many people, what level of people, and to continuing to refine the list to get the best people. Everything else they do, whether it's, internet leads, geographic farming, demographic farming, networking, BNI, drives business to their SOI. And that's the approach we've been taking.
All right. Stan, how are you directing, how are you helping your people be strategic about where to go to find business, particularly if they're newer? How do you help them?
Well, it starts with the onboarding process. We're going to give them the right training, just like Sandy was saying. We'll provide them with ideal farming areas, and we give them the benchmarks to select those farming areas. Like we look for a farm that has a minimum of 6% turnover. Agents who pick a farm area that have very little turnover, it's not worth their time. So we show them what their time is worth and why it's important for them to focus on what's highest productive for that. So then we give them the things that are tried and true. We spend $250,000 a year on online lead generation, driving 2,000 to 3,000 buyer leads to our website on a monthly basis. So those are the systems that the company provides to the agents, and so it's been proven they have success. And then at the office meeting, we always have agents who stand on the soapbox and they're telling everybody that I just closed $1 million deal from the lead generation system. So it's not us telling them, but we're getting the peers to validate the success that they're having on it. So we also rely on industry vendors like AEM, that they come and provide great tools like AEM Achieve, or whether they come in and help sponsor a lunch and learn, and they're providing good information about the mortgages and businesses they do. So we make sure that our agents are teamed up with the right lender partner, the right title partner, the right insurance partner, and that's key to their success too. It's not just the systems, but having the right people on that bus with them to help succeed.
Okay, that is so valuable. Thank you both for those answers on that. It's a very important topic to me, because at the moment you decide to be proactive, you got to know where you're going to go. So that's fantastic. All right, believe it or not, our hour has flown by here, and we're at our last question. And I saved this one for last because it's a biggie, and especially because of the success both of you have had personally, I really want our audience to hear from you. In all of my consulting with a whole lot of executives and salespeople too, I have found this trait among those that are the most successful and productive, and that's that they are very good at being selfish with their time and protecting their calendar and making sure they spend the vast majority of their days working on activities that move the needle. So for both of you, I would love to hear a two-part answer. One, how do you protect your calendar and your time so that you're working on high-value stuff, and not getting bogged down in admin and stuff that doesn't move the needle? So one, how do you protect your own calendar? What's your own philosophy and some of the things you do to guard your time? And then two, let us in on your little secret. What are your 2 or so most high-value activities that if you spend more time on those, you're going to kill it? So, Sandy, I'll let you start. How do you protect your time, and then what are some of your most important activities?
Well, one thing I do to protect my time is I don't answer the phone unless the caller ID shows up and is someone in my contact list. Because as the owner of the company, you get so many phone calls, and I don't know how they get through the front desk, but they do. So I have 3,000 people in my phone. If you're one of those 3,000, I'm answering. Otherwise, it's going to go to voicemail. I use Google Voice to Text. So any voicemail just comes right up as an email and a text. And if it's important, I'm calling you back within 30 seconds or a minute. So I'm still giving you the service that you really need. And then I time block what's most important, which for me is recruiting. I meet with my staff. So I time block every week for recruiting. And then I have staff meetings every other Friday. So I meet with the marketing and tech staff one Friday and the finance staff the next Friday. So I try and help them time block because I'm trying not to interrupt them every minute and saving things for the meeting. So we time block the staff into meetings.
And that is a best practice. So you're time blocking yourself, you're helping your people time block, and your 2 high-value activities are recruiting and investing in your people. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Right.
All right, Stan, wrap us up. What are you doing to protect your calendar, and what are your highest value activities?
Jeannie Scholl. She is the ultimate gatekeeper. You will not get past Jeannie. She knows my time is worth money, so she's my front desk person. You're not getting past her. But realistically, guys, my entire year is planned out in advance. Office meetings, caravans, roundtables, new agent orientation. It's literally planned out. We have the schedule for the entire year. We produce an office calendar. Everything is on my calendar. I You know, I wake up every day, I look at my calendar, everything is on there what I got to do that day. So my calendar I live by. I love Google Calendar because my entire team right now, they can pull up and they can see that I'm on vacation because it's my 10-year anniversary with my wife. So I'm doing this only because Mike asked me to do it. But everything is time blocked. Everybody has access to my calendar, and nobody, you know, it just doesn't alter. That's what I live by. And then, you know, when you talk about responsibilities, in my personal belief, a real estate broker has 3 basic core competencies, and those are to recruit, to retain, and to increase productivity. And those are the things that I'm focused on. So if anybody out there wants to become a #1 broker in their organization, just focus on those 3 basic activities on a daily basis. Put most of your time on there. It's just like buyer agents. Their time is spent most working with buyers, working with sellers, negotiating, and prospecting. Us brokers, we got to recruit, we got to retain, and increase productivity.
My goodness, that last answer was worth the price of admission alone. And happy anniversary. Congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you.
I don't even want to add anything to what you guys just said. I want to let that hang out there as a fantastic answer. We've got a slide up here kind of just recapping the things we talked about. My promise to our listeners today is if you focus on these things as a sales leader, you will see sales go up, right? How you lead the team and the culture you're creating and some details behind that, managing your talent. We've got the 4 R's, and then really helping your people be proactive and then owning their calendars. And I absolutely love the way both Sandy and Stan are ruthless with their time. So fantastic answers. On the next slide, you got just some contact info. If you want to keep up with my writing on sales, there's where you can find me. And I just want to thank our panelists, and especially American Equity Mortgage for hosting this event and having everyone join. Mike, thank you for the opportunity to share, and what a great group of panelists you brought on today. So I was privileged to facilitate.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much for the great facilitation, and thank you also to both of our panelists. It's no surprise to me why you've both achieved the success that you have. Great organizations, great leadership. It was a very engaging session, and just amazing how many commonalities there are between the mortgage industry and the real estate industry. So that's why we're working together. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Please join us next month for our next AEM Achieve event, but I want to thank Mike Weinberg, Stan Bishop, and Sandy Hancock for your attendance today. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Happy selling.